This week's episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Magic the Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers.
Check out the next generation of Adobe Flash platform tools and technologies.
And Squarespace. On this week's Totally Rad Show, we have wall-to-wall electronic entertainment expo coverage. That's E3 to you. That means video games that are coming out in the next 12 months. We got hands-on with them. You gotta check that out. Plus, Toy Story 3, one of the biggest movies of the summer, reviewed. Stay tuned.
3 rad fans of the Toy Story clan get packed in a van since Andy's a man. Together they band for an escape plan, and it all began with help from Strongman. From the daycare they ran with Slinky and Ham for an hour's time span as fast as Tarzan. Then they met Anne, a toy from Japan, and made her a fan of the Totally Rad Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Totally Rad Show, episode number 170. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show is a weekly dose of all things rad. This week, it is all about 3 E's in a row.
There's a lot of
We're talking about E 2010.
You want an E? You want another E? We got a third E.
Toy Story 3 at E3. Not at there,
Okay,
but also
no
there.
rapping.
That was good.
That's
I'm
new rule.
impressed-
No,
impressed
new
with
rule,
that.
no rapping. So you might have noticed the background, not really E3E, as
But
it
the
were,
other E.
but it is Toy Story 3E.
Matt Hicks sent it in to
Matt
us.
Hicks
Thank
sent
you
it
very
in.
much, Matt. We really dig it.
Very cool. We're going to be talking about Toy Story 3.
And thanks also for those amazing intro lyrics from John Tilton, the Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Correct.
Submitted by a user, the stuff that you heard us say at the beginning introducing the show. Written
funny,
by a user.
Funny nobody sent in the E3 version, which would have been cool. We got to
Yeah.
do that. PAX, Comic-Con's coming up. We'd
Yeah.
love to see a really randomly obscure Comic-Con intro.
Like all about Hall H and...
Dude,
I'm
Hall
scared
H.
now.
I know, me too, but whatever, I'm
torrent
doing
of
it.
Comic-Con ones.
All right, we got a lot of stuff to cover, tons of games out of E3, so let's get right into it, shall we?
So we're at E3 2010.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff happening. We're going to start focusing on the press conferences, the 3 big press conferences. The first one we saw
Yeah.
for the 3 major console holders was Microsoft. And
Correct.
Microsoft started their conference with a bang. They showed
Black
Call
Ops,
of
Call
Duty
of Duty.
Black Ops.
Right.
And then they went right into Halo Reach, Gears of War.
Metal Gear Solid Rising, or Risen, or whatever it was, the sword
It's
slashy
sort of.
thing.
It looks sort of like a Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
With Raiden, and then, as you said, Kinect, the name that we now know Project Natal will be going under.
Right.
And then the whole rest of their conference was
All
dropping
Kinect.
Kinect in your lap.
Yeah.
Which, whole variety of different motion games. A lot of them look like stuff we've already seen on the Wii.
Yeah.
Sports mini games. There was that Kinectimals, which looks like sort of what Milo has morphed into.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting. The Connectimals was interesting. The video chat stuff, but then being able to, within the video chat, pull up media and stuff like that. That, to me, was the win for Kinect. The games were the fail for Kinect, in my opinion, but the win for me for Kinect was all of the interacting with your media and also voice stuff, which they hadn't really talked about the voice stuff. I mean, this was really cool to see them go. I mean, and it is totally
Xbox
true. Xbox pause and then go
Xbox
take a leak and come back. Xbox play. I mean, that and
Xbox?
yep. Xbox, don't you make me? And then you raise your hand like this and it knows, and so it shakes a little. Or your controller vibrates on the table. But so that stuff for me was the win. The other thing is Halo Reach. 4-player co-op, it looks like.
4-player co-op in Gears as well.
4-player co-op
is the new
2-player co-op.
lens flare.
Which is the new lens flare. It's amazing. I was actually really excited that at how good the new Call of Duty looked, considering it's not Infinity Ward.
Right.
Because that was the big thing. It was always like,
Treyarch.
well, if it's an Infinity Ward one, you get the good one, and if it's
Right.
evens,
Treyarch also now is being able to play in the modern setting.
which I like.
Yeah, which is very cool. Dan?
I actually was pretty bummed at the end of that Microsoft press conference. I
Why?
thought that even those what seemed to be the big draws, the Halo Reach, Gears
Yeah.
of War, none of them felt like the way that you vote. You can count on the Oscars going
Yeah.
with other categories.
Where, like, you
it
get
all
the-
felt like it all felt like more, but none of it felt like better. Like it felt like more Gears of 3, more Halo,
More Gears of 3.
What I said.
You said
Gears of 3 actually
It
should
felt
have
like
been the
more
name.
Gears of War, more Halo,
That's what I-
more Call of Duty.
That's
but it
what I
didn't feel
Twittered.
like
I said, Microsoft is asking, do you like stuff you already like?
right, exactly.
Yes, you do.
Do you
none
want
of it
more
felt-
stuff you already like
None
with
of
a
it
3 after
blew
it?
me away, and that's what is exciting about those press conferences, to see something that
Yeah.
you were not expecting, or to see. Last time when they showed Call of Duty, the Call of Duty that they showed me things happening in a way I never expected to see in
Yeah.
a Call of Duty game, and this was just more of that stuff.
There was a little bit of a hint of hopefully what I think it might be to come when Forza came out, and they talked a little bit about what they're experimenting with the head tracking in Forza.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that there are more applications of, yes, I don't want to do this in my driving game. Let me use my driving wheel, but have
Or
Kinect-
controller even, but
or controller,
amplified
have-
experience.
Kinect be, yes, a +1 to that, the Motion Plus version.
Yeah, I'm excited for. I come in my house and I go house lights.
Right.
You know, I want.
House, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
I love
House
them.
unlocked.
I love it. I love it for the lifestyle stuff that's on the Xbox, but I really am excited for it leaving the Xbox and just being a part of our
Household
lives.
They should make
experience.
they should make Kinect red light, green light.
Connect
Where
like
you,
green
you
light.
turn around, you go green light.
They
I'm sure
that's
you do that with
totally
your tiger
done.
or your marsupial of some sort.
Yes.
All right,
Your
so-
attack marsupial.
So we were all pretty underwhelmed by Microsoft, which is sad because I think we all agreed last year that they won the show for us.
Well, but I think that. But here's the thing.
We predicted
were,
that they would
were
again.
we were all underwhelmed by Microsoft's press conference.
Right.
That does not mean that the games that you're seeing at the Microsoft
But it
booth.
sets a tone.
definitely sets a tone. But
And
there's some.
here's the difference for me.
Yeah.
Last year they came out and they showed Project Natal, and they
Connect.
well they showed
I know,
Project
I know.
Natal last year,
Yeah.
and they said. It seemed to me they were saying, when Peter Molyneux came out and showed Milo and some of the technology that they showed, it seemed like they were saying, we are pushing gaming into the future.
Right.
And we want to show you things that you have never been able to do before with
Yeah.
a video games console. And this year they came out with Kinect, and they said, remember that technology we told you about? Well, here's the way we want you to use it, and it's exactly the same stuff you've been doing with the Wii.
Yeah.
They didn't push it forward. They
Yeah.
just let
Yeah.
it be the Wii without anything in your hand, and that's not enough for me. That's
I
not
agree.
a compelling reason to spend more money.
Yeah, especially if you're talking price points of like $150. I mean,
They didn't mention price point. They didn't
Yeah.
mention that at all, which is a little annoying. So the following morning, we got up very early and went down to
Yes.
see Nintendo's press conference, and they started off with the thing that I predicted would be their showcase of the whole show, but it was what they started with,
Yeah.
which was
Which
a
turned
new
out to be a
Legend
good
of Zelda.
idea.
Skyward Sword, and there was, yes, I'm sure you've read all about it by now. Miyamoto had some problems showing it off, which were a little cringe-worthy. I think we were all cringing
yeah.
a little bit. But the game overall, I have to say, I love the fact that it's turning away from the Twilight Princess sort of murky, dark, gloomy
Yeah.
aesthetic, and it's a brighter, more colorful. He talked about it being like a
Classic.
Cézanne, an impressionist painting. Looks really great, and it's going to have Motion Plus support.
Well, and we got
We got our
hands-on with it,
hands-on with
which was key because at the end of that presentation, I was like, this is going to be the worst Zelda game ever in history, and I'm never going to play it. And then playing it on, I mean, hands-on, you get, I mean, it's really wee of a game, so I'm probably not going to like it just because I don't like that experience of playing the Wii. However, I think the game itself is very solid, and I think utilizes the motion controls of the Wii amazingly
The whip,
well.
Like we saw a whip in Spirit Tracks, and now there's a whip with the Wiimote. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Like bowling a
bomb,
a
yeah.
bomb is cool.
Yeah, there's
you
a
know?
lot of really cool stuff.
It's tough. It's tough though to really master what you want to do in a legit game like that. Not a kiddie game. It's a
Yeah.
real game, and it's hard to master it when you're like you intend to whip somewhere, your hand's doing the right thing, but it's not so precise.
Well,
so.
he talked a lot. I went to the developer roundtable as well. He talked a lot about how they disabled a lot of the functionality for the E3 demo as far as the pointer support because it was a bad environment for that and it would make it look worse, but he said it's going to be much more precise than even our hands-on indicate.
Oh, that's
All right,
very
there you
interesting.
go. But yeah, aesthetically, it's pretty gorgeous though. Boy, do
But
I
they
always
dropped-
wish whenever I see Zelda, I want to see.
I
want to see it on an
NHD,
Xbox 360. I want to see I want to see the Batman Begins for Zelda, and I know there will be a year of E3 where we get that, and it might be 3 years from now when we get Nintendo's next console.
But I will say, they started off with that, and then just bomb after bomb after bomb. I mean, it was like
put up a grid, and almost every one of their major characters was
Solid.
represented. A new Donkey Kong country, which looks awesome.
amazing. And the guy who does the videos for it is a fan of the show and bumped into us, and he said that that game is hard.
Well, the
just like the
original
original Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
He said that they literally, to get that video, they were sitting in the office trying to record the video, going like.
It's pretty clear that 2D platforming is back in a big way.
Well-
they showed another game that I think we all fell in love with immediately, which was Kirby Epic Yarn, which
Amazing.
aesthetically, I think it wins for best art direction of any game. It
Most
is
definitely.
stunningly
It's
beautiful.
a great example of how you
Yeah.
can use the negatives of the graphics power of the Wii to your advantage.
If it was released on an Xbox, it would look exactly the same, or the PS,
Exactly.
PlayStation, it would look
Because
exactly
that's
the same.
because of that graphics choice, that aesthetic choice, which was
What I
great.
loved about
And there's so
the
many
gameplay
ideas in
was-
it as
I
well.
know.
What I loved about Little Big Planet, as far as that sort of cut and paste universe,
Yeah.
that scrapbook universe, this takes it and goes even a step further of scrapbooking, where it's like yarn and fabric and cloth and canvas. And I mean, there's part where you leap behind a canvas and you have a little lump that moves
Yeah.
around. It is so
And you'll
clever.
rip a seam to close the gap between a jump or something. It's
and he
very
unravels and
clever.
can form into different forms. I walked away from that thinking, this might be my game of show. It is that impressive.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then, of course, 3DS.
That really was like the, got it,
We
right.
all knew 3DS was coming, and we all, I think, discounted the impact that it would have, because I
Agreed.
know that I was like,
Agreed.
yeah, yawn, a 3DS, and how's the 3D going to work without glasses? It's probably going to look terrible.
Yeah.
And then we held it in our hands, and seeing really is believing with the 3DS.
They went widescreen on the top,
Yeah,
higher
that is right.
resolution. So there's a lot. It's not just you're getting the 3D. And so I think that you're really going to see. And you said that during the developer conference, they were talking about bringing back a lot of older
Ocarina of
games
Time is gonna
and
be
then
in
putting
3D.
them into 3D, which is like.
And they
But
announced
the thing
Kid
that
Icarus.
no one, and Kid Icarus, which I know you were
I have
flipping
been
about.
talking about wanting a new Kid Icarus for ages.
Yeah.
Now I'm
it's
excited.
A perfect
It's
IP
3D.
for that, and they're going to do Pilot Wings as well, which is another perfect IP for that. But the thing that no one is really talking about yet, which I think is a really important thing to point out, is that the bottom screen of the 3DS is not in 3D, and that is the only touch screen. And they talked about how they didn't want to do touch or stylus touch with 3D because it kind of messed up the effect.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about the library of DS games that we play, most of them, the main action happens on the bottom screen because that's where you interact with it. So I think a lot of games are going to be different. They're going to need to be designed different.
That's probably why it also comes with a thumb pad.
Analog stick
an
on the
analog
side,
stick.
yeah, the slide pad
Which
or
isn't
whatever
in
they
the
call
other
it.
touch
Exactly,
screens.
because you'll probably be controlling the top screen more often.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the bottom screen is now going to be about touching for control rather than
Yeah.
touching what you're looking at.
Yeah.
I think that's a complete paradigm shift that nobody, I think, is really thinking about
Very
yet.
good point. I was
Also,
blown.
camera.
Yeah.
3D
Two
camera.
cameras.
You can take
yeah.
3D pictures and then display them on your 3D. I mean, that's going to be just freaking
And there's
fun.
movies that you can watch in 3D, which I don't know if that's the medium for that. I was blown away by the announcement of GoldenEye again. And
Well-
what dawned on me, first of all, I have never had as an amazing a multiplayer experience ever than playing GoldenEye with my friends. Never. It has never come to that pinnacle for me.
I think that's the Halo experience I had.
Yeah.
Because that was the first system link in the same room. I never did the
But
GoldenEye.
Exactly, and that was the first time it ever reached that level for so
And you're
many of
speaking-
us.
I think you're speaking for
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
Exactly.
myself included.
And I think that what's amazing about Nintendo is that they are the only company that can do what they did at that press conference.
Yeah.
Because they've been around for so long.
Because Microsoft
that when
did
they
that.
drop
They said
those
new
bombs,
Halo.
yeah.
I mean, that's as
and
early as it
that
gets
has
for them.
nostalgia factor of 5 years, whatever. But like even GoldenEye is from their like third console, and it brings back memories and connotations from 15 years ago.
So the third big press conference of the major console holders was Sony, and Sony, you know, they have their own motion controller device, but they also have another technology that this is the first E3 that they're showing, and that is the 3D technology, and that's what kicked off their press conference. They gave everyone glasses as we walked in, but strangely, even though we got glasses when we walked in, they aren't the glasses that Sony is really touting. It's not the technology that they're actually selling to us.
Yeah, the active, what is it called?
Active shutter glasses.
I find that to be a strangely duplicitous message.
It's because they didn't want to hand you a $199 sunglasses.
They can't, but there's nowhere. They're trying to deliver this 3D experience to me, but there's nowhere where they're saying, here's all the things you need for the 3D experience, and here's what we're selling and what you need to have to, you know, and it's different than when you go to the movies, and it's not. Anyway, the first thing that they showed was the 3D stuff. They showed Killzone 3 in 3D. They showed Gran Turismo in 3D. I was pretty blown away by how those games looked. I know you weren't.
I was not.
And you're Mr. 3D.
I gotta tell you, you know what? I don't know if I am. I've had a whirlwind of emotions over the past few days, because on the one hand I go Avatar and How to Train Your Dragon, totally enhanced by 3D. On the other hand, I look at the 3DS, though it's awesome, and we even saw a television display that was in 3D without glasses.
That was the winner, which we should talk about more, because that was epic.
With the glasses, and I felt this is not awesome, and I feel like I was saying to you guys, you know, I remember when Toy Story came out, and they go, look, it's 3D, and I was like, oh my God, look, yeah, it's 3D, and I think about how every movie I watch is in 3D. I mean, like, here's what I think about: no matter how cool something is, eventually you get so immersed in it that you don't even notice those things, which is really strange for 3D, because hopefully I'm not realizing it. Hopefully I'm just feeling it. But
that's how it was with Toy Story. When we just saw Toy Story, and I literally forgot I had glasses on.
Right, exactly. So then, do I still need those things? You know, like, because here's the problem. Because the glasses are a step back. The dimness of the experience, the loss in fidelity, the literally having a barrier between me and the thing, they're a step back. Technically, I felt like when I'm playing a game, for me it's an emotional thing. For me, I don't. The apex of game playing is I'm just doing a thing, and I snipe a guy, and I'm shooting, and I'm doing all. I'm shooting a knife. I'm shooting a knife
out of a sniper rifle,
like they did in the Civil War.
Sniping,
bayonets. But you know, but with the 3D glasses, with the 3D glasses, I feel constantly distanced from that experience.
But he was addicted to snuff, so it was
anyway, so I was really disappointed with the 3D.
I loved the 3D stuff for Killzone 3. Then we saw, after a while, they showed this sort of montage, which I thought was a total mistake. Yeah. Because that's when I saw all the errors of like, oh, the fast motion, everything. It doesn't look good. Because here's the thing. Motion blur, when you're just looking at stuff and it just gets blurry in the background, fine. When you've got this crisp 3D and that looks like it's there, and then all of a sudden when you're doing the motion, it doesn't look like it's there. It looks like two images that are out of sync. I mean, jerks you out of that immersive experience. Then we got to play a little bit. But we got to play a little bit, and it was watching you play Killzone 3 at the
Pulling
Sony
up the
booth
Iron
was
Sights
great.
was like a moment where I was like, wow, this is.
But they showed a crap ton more than that. That's
a semantic argument. I don't understand what I mean. That's
because the illusion of death is already being created. For me.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But then they showed a poop ton of Move games. Even some new games. Well, but I mean, for me, the takeaway from there was like, because they didn't show a lot of first party of like PS3 exclusive titles that you aren't going to see on other places.
Infamous 2, Little Big Planet 2.
Yeah.
Killzone 3.
Twisted Metal was the bomb.
I think was the thing.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this.
Did not look good to me.
Yeah. Did you play it at the booth?
I didn't play it yet.
So much fun.
Yeah.
It was like being in college again, man.
Wow.
We've had so many first-person shooters, multiplayer maps, and all that stuff, and you realize you can do that in a vehicle. Like, and it's awesome in a way that where you have the same control that you do in a first-person shooter, not in a getting in a vehicle in a first-person shooter.
So we talked about
For me, the bombshell was Gabe Newell walking out on stage and all of a sudden completely doing a 180-degree turn and saying, "I like the PS3."
Oh, he didn't go that far.
He said it's the best place to play Portal 2.
He said.
It's going to have Steamworks on the PS3, which might be the biggest announcement that no one's talking about because that's huge.
Yeah. So what did you think of the Move?
What did you think of the Move?
When you got your hands on it?
I thought
I played SOCOM.
Okay, when I walked out of the press conference, I was like, Move might be the coolest one.
I agree completely.
Yeah,
and they showed sorcery, and I was like, because I remember we saw the trailer for Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I'm like, I'm gonna be so upset that unlike the Karate Kid, where after I saw it, I can go out and do karate when I'm 8. Sorcerer's Apprentice is gonna make me want to go out and do magic, and I'm gonna be so pissed that I can't. And then I saw that sorcery thing,
and realized
I was like,
you can do
I can
magic.
like wave a mind, and it looked so awesome. But then we played the Move, and I think I agree with you when you say
heart sank.
Yeah,
it was a complete letdown. And I don't know if it's just here at the expo or like weird environment.
What games? Because
we both played boxing.
We both played boxing, which was
so the first thing the guy says,
which I didn't.
The first thing the guy says to me when I go
you don't
over
have
to
to whisper.
The first thing I say, he might be here. The first thing that the guy says to me, he goes, literally the first words were, "Don't move your feet."
Yeah, you can't move your feet. Everybody wants to move your feet. Don't move your feet.
So I was like, okay, it's called PlayStation Move, and the first thing you tell me is don't move.
Can I tell you? Yeah. Can I tell you the first thing that you have to do though to calibrate the system?
Oh yeah, move your feet. That's funny.
You have to leave the camera.
Here's what the realization was.
I think
it is Wii HD. The Move. It really the bummer with the Wii is that it's all gestural. The big thing I thought was going to happen with these one-to-one things is that these little dance I'm doing, that whole thing is happening on screen.
That's Kinect.
And I'm moving. Right. Well, hold on. We'll get there. Yeah. Right. So like,
I want to see that hip moving.
You know what I mean?
Virtually represented on a tiger.
In the boxing game, it's I do a jab and then it knows the gesture is jab gesture, and hook knows the gesture. It's not like if my uppercut goes a little bit like this. It's not like it's like that, and it's not like and the Gladiator game, and not like a freaking it is.
Well, what other games did you guys play? Because I did not play
SOCOM.
Because I played SOCOM. I played Echochrome, and I played the archery thing.
Echochrome was cool.
Echochrome was awesome.
But I don't need the Move to do that. But
tell us about SOCOM, because that's kind of the big question.
SOCOM was really quite good. Quite good.
Superior to having a controller in your hand? Or different and
superior than Conduit, you know? Like
way better than Conduit.
Well, obviously visually, but
No. Way better than Conduit. Better. I mean, I was literally just like sitting there and going, whip, headshot. I mean, it was like awesome fun, and then being able to zoom in.
Is that how you want to play that game?
Oh hell no!
Well, I don't understand your argument then.
The argument is it's really maybe the best
for the thing I don't want to do.
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, that's like saying this is the best. It's the best My Little Pony game.
So
that's not my
takeaway
thing.
Was though after this, I realized that Kinect, even though we have to get hands-on with Kinect or hands off, but the Kinect might be the winner for me. And I'll tell you what blew my mind with the Kinect. Ubisoft press conference. I know you're gonna agree with me. Ubisoft press conference. The guy, basically a Rez type game. We all loved Rez.
Yeah.
It's the only,
when you're like orchestrating with your hand.
It's the only hardcore game that has been shown at all.
And it was like, so you can use this thing, and you can your whole body's moving. And the Kinect does seem like it's getting my whole situation.
Yeah.
It's not a frickin' like this gesture is that, and this.
I agree. Totally, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. I think we all agree that Nintendo walked away with it this year. I think most people did agree, and. It's going to be an interesting rest of the year.
Although I'll say, we'll get to this coming up, I think the games walk away with it this year more than any one company.
So stay tuned for the games talk.
This week in movies, we are talking about Toy Story 3. So, Toy Story, pretty big deal. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the original that came out in 1995 may be the first full-length 3D animated film.
I believe it was.
I'm not sure though.
There was some repository of all the world's information that we could check.
I could have checked, and I should have done that. But you guys can do it because you're watching this pretty much on the internet, I would assume, or some form of that. So, 1995, huge deal. The launch of Pixar as a major motion picture production company. animated films. Now we know Pixar.
Yeah.
Now they're making movies every year. Every single one of them is knocked out of the park. They win Academy Awards every freaking year. John Lasseter, who directed the original Toy Story, is now like the head of Pixar and
head of Disney Animation.
Head of Disney Animation.
Was that our screening?
And then they made Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 often noted as the Empire Strikes Back of the then it was only 2, but sort of the sequel that people enjoyed more than the original. And now we have a part 3. So, Alex.
Dan.
What did you think? Toy Story 3, directed by Lee Unkrich, who was like an editor on the first one and a co-director of many of the other Pixar films. What did you think of Toy Story 3?
I'm not gonna tell you
the
yet.
cast returns. Andy has gone off to college. They are left at a daycare center where they meet and have to get along with other toys. Adventure and hilarity ensue.
Yeah.
Alex, this time for real, what did you think of Toy Story 3?
Well, if Toy Story 2 was the Empire, this was clearly the Return of the Jedi. For me, it was awesome. Not only was it just a great movie.
Do you like Return of the Jedi more than
we're
Empire
mixing
Strikes
our
Back?
No, but I just thought I would just say that because it felt right.
All right.
It's a double entendre. No, I mean, it's just high quality movie making. I mean, it's emotionally charged, it's hysterically funny, it's a riveting story. For me, I think it actually is the perfect way to end, the end of this movie, the sort of tag end of the movie, the sort of end of...
Riding off into the sunset moment.
The sort of riding off into the sunset moment was actually quite emotional for me. I was very surprised. I mean, I sort of thought these characters, I've seen that, we've gotten so many more amazing Pixar characters that when the movie started, I kind of felt like, do I need to see more of these characters? I feel like I've seen enough of these characters, but by the end, it is like, oh man, Buzz, Woody, like this. It's just, it was almost too much. It was like, this is too much. This ending's too much.
It's pretty crazy too that, so the first one came out in 1995 and Andy was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
Like it literally follows the kids who were at that age watching that film have now gone off to college. And it's amazing that a movie, like Star Wars doesn't do that. You know what I mean? In other trilogies, the characters are generally the same age. It's pretty remarkable that
Harry Potter might be the only one, but I was gonna say one thing I did want to mention. Where we have come, and I was thinking about this as I started playing Mass Effect 2, and I was thinking about how far we've come, where moments that are not done through lines can now be conveyed in such a way where CG characters, and the same thing with the Avatar, which was really impressive, CG characters can show emotions rather than have to through the lines, which like in Toy Story, the human characters, you didn't get a lot of that expressive stuff through, but the moment when the mother walks into the room and all of his stuff is gone, and we've all gone through that moment with our parents, she doesn't say anything, but it hits you like a ton of bricks, and it's like, that's a CG character.
I can't wait for my mom to see this movie specifically for that moment. I'm sure it will destroy her as it destroyed me. I know. As it destroyed me. Yeah. I mean, I was a complete mess by the end of the movie. I completely agree with everything you said, and even to the point of, I had that feeling about these characters. These characters feel very old-fashioned to me in a weird way, and I actually always never really connected with these characters the way I connect to other Pixar characters, because I never had the like cloth cowboy doll, and I always felt a little distant from that.
Yeah.
But this is such high quality, such universally appealing storytelling. There really is something in this movie for every age category. It speaks to kids. It speaks to people younger than us that are going off to college. It speaks to people our age who have been through that and sort of have a nostalgia for that. It speaks to our parents in a way, and it even speaks to the elderly in a way. It talks about obsolescence and being kind of pushed into an old folks' home. I mean, there's a real metaphor for that in this movie. It has something to say about the whole spectrum of life, and this movie, over and above all of that, has a really fun adventure, and there is a major action set piece at the end of this movie that does not feel out of place like I felt the Up action set piece to end the film and the one before that, Wall-E action set piece to end the film. They felt like we have to get an action set piece in here. This felt very natural. The level of CG that we get to when we get to the dump and we see all the particles is remarkable and completely modern and undoable in those previous 2 Toy Story movies. There is not a single person living on this planet who will not enjoy this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Except for the Intractable?
Not only, I mean, the amazing thing is I think this is the best of the Toy Story movies. It may be it's definitely one of the best of the Pixar films. It does something, which is remarkable for part 3 to be the best of the series. It's very rare.
Yeah.
Once in a while we get that. But not only is it the best of the Toy Story movies, I mean, I think it is the only one that needed to exist. This movie says everything that the other 2 say all in one breath.
Interesting.
I don't think which is amazing. On top of that,
it doesn't feel redundant.
It doesn't feel redundant, but on top of that, I think it's a perfect movie. It has everything you could possibly want in a movie. As you guys said, adventure, comedy, despair. I mean, you literally
emotion.
you laugh, you cry. There's love, there's hate, and there's swashbuckle. There's this Spielberg, Lucas style adventurism stuff that is done better than those guys are doing things now in this animated film. It is breathtaking, amazing, perfect.
There's some dark stuff in this movie too. I mean, they
some
don't
scary stuff for kids.
They
for
don't
sure.
avoid the dark stuff, you know. Although the sad clown was hysterical. Sad clown was. I mean, it's a no-brainer must-see for everybody on the planet.
It is
win, full of win.
Pure universal appeal, and that's rare nowadays. I mean, I still think that How to Train Your Dragon is a more precious movie for me.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy to recommend. I hope that everyone sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, I went back and saw Toy Story, the original Toy Story. The toys to today, they look just as good then. Like there's something. It's amazing how story-wise these movies don't get dated.
Yeah.
But even visually, you would think that I would look at it and
There's
it would
some
look
stuff like the humans are a little bit more dated, and the backgrounds and stuff that they're able to do
I don't even
more.
think that
but
much. Yes, definitely the light. The lighting is the big thing. Everything
Yeah.
in Toy Story 3 takes place at sunset because it looks awesome and they can do that now.
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
yeah. Anyway, so there we go. Toy Story 3.
Done.
Let's get into some video games.
All right, E3 is over. You heard us talking about the big 3, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and now we're going to kind of focus on the individual games we saw from the individual software makers.
A lot of awesome games.
Tons of stuff.
And some surprise games.
So the first thing we saw, we went to, saw Rage, the new id game. It looks a lot like Borderlands to me.
When that demo started, I felt really sorry for them because it really looked like a way better version of Borderlands.
Beautiful.
You know what's
It's
ironic
gorgeous,
about
but-
that is I felt sorry for Borderlands last year at E3 because Rage was going to come out and they were showing.
We didn't think Borderlands was going to be good,
and we thought Borderlands was like the little ugly kid brother.
It's just a generic post-apocalyptic future. There's nothing really interesting or unique about the IP. I thought, I was kind of underwhelmed by that, even though it looks gorgeous.
I mean, it looks gorgeous.
We also saw Brink and Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Brink is going to be one of those games that's really fun to play for about 20 minutes. And then you're going to go, oh, this is the entire game? Okay, thank you.
Dan?
I don't know.
You love
I don't
traversal?
know.
I thought the
Yeah.
traversal stuff worked really well.
That stuff worked really well. The shooterness of it worked really well. What's cool about it is that you're given missions. So it's like you're a part of this huge war and you've got tasks to do. And I really enjoy that. I don't love just blindly going whatever and what's cool is with the traversal stuff, it's like, go here, get there. So I don't need to shoot anybody. I can if I want to, but I can even start, the war's going on and I'm like,
You're stealthy guy who's like
I'm like
turning
Oliver
nuts.
Twist.
Yeah, you're like tying people with big shoes together on mechs.
Yes,
and they're like,
exactly. I think that's awesome. And I was doing things that made me feel that way. I wasn't doing that.
That's true.
But
That's true.
I thought that was really cool.
That is
Yeah,
true. That
we
is
went to
definitely
Sega and we saw Sonic Colors and Conduit 2.
You know, well, first off, Conduit 2, I mean, I feel bad because playing a Wii game, we talked about it last, about SOCOM playing it on it. It's just not that much fun. But Sonic Colors was kind of made the little bit of me that loved Sonic
Well, the
back.
best thing they said in the Sonic Colors, which is the new Sonic game for the Wii, is Sonic is the only playable character, which is great. I mean, I don't want to play as Knuckles. I don't want to play Tails.
I don't want to play an action game. I don't want to play. I turn into a beast and I'm beating up people.
I think one of the big stories out of this E3 was that 2D platforming is back in a huge way. I mean, we saw it with a lot of the Nintendo titles, the Kirby game, the Donkey Kong game, the new Rayman that Ubisoft showed, which is stunning looking.
Amazing.
Game after game after game. Epic Mickey has 2D elements in it. Game after game has
Tell you what else. What might possibly the game of show for me? One of the games of show?
Oh, yeah.
Lost in Shadow.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you guys, because you didn't get a chance to get hands on it. I know you saw it, but so you play as the Shadow in typical platforming level, but there's a sun beaming down on it, and so you're playing as the Shadow of the dude. You're a shadow guy,
and you can only traverse on shadows.
You can only traverse on shadow. Think of the aesthetic from Ico or Shadow of the Colossus. It has very much that vibe to the look. And here's a moment in the game. I'm on a ledge. There's another ledge. I can't get to the ledge, but there's a light bulb. I grab the light bulb. I swing the light bulb, so the shadows bend. So now I can get onto that ledge.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Next thing that we all saw together after that might be my game of show, which is Civilization 5. Mind-blowing.
It's too much. It's too much. It's amazing
I don't think it's
looking.
too much.
No,
they
for
managed
me, it's
to like simplify the interface,
make
the game look better.
It was the first time that I sat down. I went, oh, that's what they mean by diploma.
They're literally
diplomatic.
E3 is literally
this is it.
over.
This is the end of
It's
E3 right now.
deconstructing E3 as we speak.
Yeah.
Is it too much for you?
No, I'm down. It's just the kind of game that doesn't make me go, oh!
That's exactly what I was
It's a game
doing.
that I play, and you guys remember, Civ, literally last year at E3, I played Civ 4 till 4 in the morning, so.
Yes, THQ did have some great games that we should talk about. Chief among them, I think we were all blown away by Homefront.
Homefront.
I've never been affected by a game. It kind of does the thing I've always wanted a game to do. Affect me the way a movie has affected me.
So let me just explain real quick what Homefront is.
Yeah.
I think it's a game that was announced here, or at least I didn't know about it before here, and it's definitely on that parade of games that we're seeing that are all trying to be the next big military modern warfare.
Takeover for modern warfare.
Yeah, but I think they're going about it in a really interesting, unique way in that they're pushing it slightly into the future and asking what would happen if North Korea invaded us.
Yeah.
And how that would really play out in a modern day setting.
Yeah, I mean, there was you're attacking a lumber liquidators next to a Hooters because that's where the Koreans have set up base.
There were a few of those levels in Modern Warfare 2 where it's taking place in a
Burger Time or whatever.
Yeah, but this is that's the whole game. It's happening on our soil. We're defending the homeland.
When that level happened in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and you're playing in the suburbs in the strip mall, I was like, I remember thinking, this is cool looking and it's cool conceptually, but I should be feeling something about it. I was like, I get it, I'm fighting in the suburbs now. But the game didn't clue that in, clue me into that.
Why do you feel something here?
This game, I had goosebumps.
Yeah.
First of all, I think saying it's set a little bit in the future, though that may be true, is misleading because it just feels like
current.
This could be. Here's the big deal. It's written by John Milius, who wrote Conan and Flight of the Intruder, knows military. Some of our favorite moments from Jaws, but namely Red Dawn.
Yeah.
And Red Dawn's a little goofy. They're remaking it now. Maybe we'll love it again. But the opening sequences of Red Dawn, where those dudes are parachuting into and the kids are in classroom, is a chilling sequence.
Yeah.
And this game is just where when you've woken up and you're seeing people trying to survive in the suburbs.
Yeah.
He said a really amazing thing in the demonstration. He said we didn't want to do the iconic
cities,
iconic landmarks.
Yeah.
We wanted to do the familiar.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
not the Statue of Liberty in Times Square. It's the suburbs.
Yeah,
and
it's
strip
your
mall.
home. It's
and
the
it's
strip
It's
mall.
the
Yes, it
Home
was-
Depot that you go to. The lumber
yeah,
Exactly. It
liquidators.
said lumber liquidators, but everything else, it was actually Hooters. It was actually Coffee
Yeah.
Beanery. I just wanted to. I
Yeah.
wanted to survive.
Yeah.
Like just watching, I was like, I'm gonna want to survive. I'm gonna kill them because
Yeah.
they're taking my
And
property
there's
from me.
context. It showed there was a section that they showed that had people like surviving day to day without electricity and
Yeah.
running water, and how that they would do that, and
But not in a Fallout way, not in a
Right.
post-apocalyptic way, in a right
Yeah.
now. And
it
holy
really
crap.
felt like they took it seriously, which is why I cringed a little bit when they walked into that room and the one character is like a video game character, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that
Let's
guy's
go kill him.
yeah.
Come on, why are you?
Oh, don't worry about Chad or whatever his name was,
The new Red Faction,
which
which
clearly is a shooter now.
and which
Instead
made
of an
me
open world
go
game.
very excited.
Here's the thing with that Red Faction. The first few seconds, I was like, oh crap, they effed it up. Because the awesome thing with
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
The awesome
Right.
thing with
Guerrilla.
Red Faction Guerrilla was it's not really a shooter. I mean, it is,
Yeah.
but
Everything's
they give you that
destructible.
sledgehammer, and what the fun
You
of that
go
game is
anywhere and do
destructive.
anything.
Right, and then a second later,
Yep.
they one-upped it. The dude shoots a gun,
The magnet
a
gun.
magnet to point A, a magnet to point B, and it sends point A to point B. So
Which
you
he
can
put
do that
two
on
walls-
a building.
walls
You can
to
put a
thing.
person to a building. I
Yeah.
mean, like,
But no, I mean, I don't think it's not
one-ups-
like the gravity gun where you just like are throwing an object into another object.
No.
If you attach one part of a building to another part, it rips the building apart
Right.
and takes parts of
And
the
the
building.
guy walks up to a building that has no doors, hits the top of it, down to the ground, slam, runs in, and then slams it back together and just chills.
Yeah,
He's
so it has
also
two
a weapon.
components.
Yeah.
It has a nano building, like
Rebuilding thing,
reconstruction thing. Let's talk about 2K. We saw the XCOM game that just got announced. I'm a big XCOM fan. This is the first-person shooter version in the XCOM universe, which I'm sure a lot of people never even heard of XCOM because it's
Yeah.
an old, like late 80s, early 90s PC game. What did you guys think of XCOM? It's set in the 50s.
I wanted to love this game. And as it started, I was like, yes, I love this milieu. I love all the like blah, blah, blah. And then as it started keep going, I was like, ooh, it's kind of flat. And then they got into the combat and I was like, this does not look fun.
It's funny, I had the opposite feeling. When it first started, I was like, wow, this looks bad.
Yeah.
And then as it went, I was like, it's Ghostbusters.
No, I'm actually more with Alex. I love the milieu. I love the vibe. I'm really loving these games that are first-person games that maybe
Based
they're
on
not necessarily-
strategy
maybe they're not
games.
necessarily shooters. It's like
Yeah.
I love the idea
Oh,
of
it's a shooter,
exploring this
though.
world. Right, and that's so when the combat happened, and that didn't even seem that fun, and it seemed the enemy didn't the way what you were
Sort of
shooting at the enemy,
blobby
interacted
things.
with that enemy,
Yeah.
didn't feel.
We also saw Mafia II. I'm a huge fan of the first Mafia game. One of my favorite PC games in the last 10 years. This looks like it's very true to the spirit of that game. Fantastic looking world.
Yep.
It looks like they put a huge emphasis on story again, like they did in the first game, which is awesome. It's that Godfather, Goodfellas
Yeah.
type aesthetic.
Right.
And it really is a great feeling shooter.
That is what I was gonna say. Of all of these open world games that we've played, the hardest thing is I really do feel like there's yet to be that game where the combat is in and of itself enticing. Not just, hey, it's not bad. You know, it's not horrible combat.
Yeah.
Where it's actually like, no, I could play the combat of this open world game. If this was just a shooter, I'd be happy. And I
It kind of
really
is.
felt like that with Mafia.
Yeah.
It felt
It's much more a
very
shooter
satisfying.
than I think
It
than
looked
people
like
think
Gears
it
of
is.
it looked
It
like
did.
Gears of War, but
Yeah.
in the like and I gotta say at first I was very excited because I was like with the newfound love I have for the love I have for Red Dead Redemption and
Yeah.
experiencing the Wild West and
Yeah.
what I get out of that experience, to have that in the 1950s or 30s or 40s, whenever it is, and to feel what my parents grew up with, you know, just to be in that vibe and get it is very exciting.
You said Gears of War, but in a different milieu, and we forgot to mention that Hunted game.
That's right.
Which is basically Gears of War, but with sword and sorcery.
Yeah.
Which looked pretty cool, co-op. Looks really nice.
A phenomenal concept, phenomenal looking. I had a lot of fun playing it for a second. I got a little bit feared when shooting my arrow. I felt a little monotonous.
It might not end up having the polish that we hope it has.
Yes.
Let's talk about Activision a little bit. I mean, obviously Call of Duty, Black Ops is the centerpiece of their strategy going forward. We saw a couple of levels that weren't shown at the press conference. What do you guys think?
Cool. Not like I said, doesn't look new. Just looks.
It's more of
the
what
same.
it will be predictably good.
Yeah, this is a great way to put it. This is gonna be a fun-ass game, but it's not gonna be like when Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out and you're like, wait a minute, something weird is happening. These are not what I'm supposed to be playing. But they've got great moments.
I think Treyarch is going to break out of that sort of, they're the slummy version. You know, I think it has a high level of quality.
Most definitely.
So we saw True Crime at Activision as well,
Yeah.
which is a big open world, and it looked like they're really pushing to have open world, but as you dig deeper into it, you can actually play a on-foot chasing kind of action game, almost like Stranglehold kind of, I was reminded. Maybe that was the Asian
the
influence.
Hong Kong,
the
Hong Kong cinema influence.
Driving, motorcycle chasing, tons of different activities. I know you were flipping out about it.
I mean, here's the thing. You guys were like, he said. I mean, the guy before said the team behind this, right? This we forgot to talk about. The team behind this, dude's from Prototype. Which I loved. Which had that amazing traversal.
It was like the guy from Grand Theft Auto 4, then the guy from Prototype, then the guy from, like, I mean, it was just
so
like...
the open world could be amazing like Grand Theft Auto. The fun traversal mechanics that were, not the exact ones that were in Prototype, but nailing that in that way. Fun. I love reference Point Break for a great foot chase, which not everyone does, but only people that are savvy get Point Break and 7 has great foot chase sequences. You grab it, you're fighting a dude, and the fighting looks really cool. And it looks like it controls well as well, although we didn't get our hands on. But and then the contextual, like, it looked like 8 million, it wasn't a Splinter Cell where it's like the mirror or the TV. There was like 8 million things to like take down a guy. And you can run over, you don't need to like be near it. You can really, there's a way to make it happen so that it's really cool. And it just looks gorgeous.
It seemed like...
and the guys from Burnout, right? Did the Need for Speed.
Need for Speed,
So the driving, which everyone complains about driving in these open world games, and the driving looks really cool. And the slowdown while you're driving and shooting things. I mean, like, there's a lot of this is a contender.
This could be a thing. Could be a thing.
I was not as high on it as you, but it did surprise me. It did surprise me. We went to Atari and saw a Test Drive Unlimited 2 and The Witcher 2. I think The Witcher 2 could be very good. It looked really nice.
Very, very good.
I've never played The Witcher, though I'm constantly looking at it and seeing all the awards it's gotten and all that stuff. This one, I think I'm gonna play this one.
Yeah. It looks like it has a lot of...
Dan's stamp of approval.
I looked at it and I
Dan's
said to
best of
myself,
E3.
why couldn't
play
Dragon
this
Age have looked like this?
And
then we went over to Capcom and saw a game that I know you and I are absolutely flipping out over.
Dude, me too. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
it was amazing.
The thing about the DS is that it continually comes out with these games that you really couldn't do on any other system. It's outside the box thinking. It's a gameplay that we have never had before, and that was Ghost Trick is a perfect example of that. A game that's going to be out on the DS, and basically the game starts with you dying. The first thing that happens is you're shot and killed.
Amazing.
And the game is all about trying to figure out who killed you, and the way you do that is you start preventing murders in the future.
Dan nailed it. He said it's like playing Ghost the movie.
So Ghost, when Patrick Swayze is dead and he's got to get the dude who's going to make out with Demi Moore, he's got to stop him, so he pushes over the vase so the guy's to go right. So take that idea, and in this game you're in the ghost world and the guy's about to shoot someone. To prevent him, you inhabit the crosswalk thing, and then you hit trick, and then all of a sudden you time it so that when he's about to shoot her, the crosswalk thing knocks the gun out of his hand.
Yeah, what happens is you actually put your soul into inanimate objects, and then you can manipulate those objects in very specific ways. So you end up creating these Rube Goldberg devices to end up affecting people who are about to commit crimes.
And there's a puzzle mode into getting to the device. Like you can only touch things that are so far away from you. So it's like got puzzle and strategy, and it's got a great tone. The graphics are great. Yeah. And
it's from the designer who did the Phoenix Wright series, and which are really cool outside the box games as well. Then this game will tell a story like those did. it's a contender for my game of show. It
Yeah,
really
for
came out of
sure.
nowhere, and
Yeah.
it looks like something we've never played before, which is, as many games as are here at E3, there are very few where it's like, I've never done this in a game before.
Agreed.
We saw Epic Mickey, which is a big Wii title. I think you came away a little disappointed.
Well, I was just sort of disappointed by the graphics. I mean, not that like bad Wii graphics, but there were the side-scrolling Steamboat Mickey stuff. Mickey didn't even look like Mickey Mouse. I mean, it was sort of like an amorphous blob that had Mickey Mouse.
We were
type
standing
stuff.
really close to the television.
Yeah,
That may
but-
have something to do with it.
I mean, but it wasn't a big television. I mean, it wasn't like we were sitting in front of our 52-inch TVs, you know?
I did not.
But the gameplay, I think, you know, watching Dan play, it just really didn't. It just didn't look like it felt like a fun game to play, which is what I think that game needs.
It's got an
it's-
interesting idea behind it. You can either paint things to create them or use paint thinner to destroy them. And you always have that option constantly throughout the world. So there's things where you have to destroy them to reveal stuff behind them. And there's other things where you have to like create a bridge in order to cross it. And you constantly are going back and forth between those two techniques.
I think everything about this game is right except for the controls. Not only right, everything about this game is special and awesome except for the controls, which, as you know, my love for N+, you don't need any of those things. All you need is controls, and it's a fun game. You know?
Let's talk a little bit about Rock Band 3. As you guys
Talk
know,
about game of the E3.
I went into E3 last week's episode. I said it might end up being the game of the show. It's hard to argue against it. I think it does more for its genre than any other game here does for its genre. It really is a culmination of everything about the music genre. It has everything from a complete beginner to end up being a musician that plays a musical instrument.
The fact that he was like, oh yeah, we were getting yelled at by these guitar rock people who knew how to play these solos and were like, even on expert, it's not that hard. He was like, well, guess what? Boom, there you go. They have the controller that comes from Madcast for the Pro edition of guitar has 128 buttons.
Something like that, yeah. And it will literally teach you how to play guitar. And not only that, you can plug in a Fender Stratocaster that they're going to be releasing that is a guitar. And the demonstration that they showed us, the guy plugged into an amp and the game at the same time. And so you heard through the amp that he was playing the song, and the game was recognizing that he was playing it.
And that in and of itself is going to really help people learn how to actually play guitar. The fact that when he was moving, and then keyboards. I mean, it's like
you can plug in your own keyboard. You don't need.
You can get if you have a MIDI keyboard, which I do.
Yeah.
Booyah.
And the song list sounds amazing. There's going to be 80 plus songs in it. They showed about 8 or 10 of them, and they all
22.
There were 22 available at the demo, but they only showed a couple.
Well, there was a lot of, Bohemian Rhapsody right there is a must buy.
But here's the thing, the Rock Band 3 technology of the game itself is a leap forward.
Right.
The drop in, drop out anytime. The fact that you can start a career and say, I'm the guy who loves my career, and then when your friends come over, the person that you're playing is earning money and earning stars and earning credits in your career because you're the guy that loves to do that. The drop in, drop out anytime. The fact that they added harmony in.
I couldn't agree with you more.
At launch, they said they're going to have 2,000 songs accessible for the game.
Right, which is all the stuff from the first two games, all the stuff from Lego
But then
Rock
you
Band,
add in the keyboards, then you add in the fact that you're actually playing guitar, and even pro drums, like add in the cymbal stuff.
It's a staggering achievement of a video game.
It's crazy.
And I cannot wait to get it. And and then we went over and saw the game that I think has gotten a lot of buzz because it was only shown behind closed doors, which is Deus Ex: Human Revolution, or Evolution, I should say. I'm a big fan of the Deus Ex game, or at least the first Deus Ex game. The second one was not as good, but it was really revolutionary at its time. A game where you could quite literally play it a number of different ways all the time. You had options at your disposal. It really felt like you were role playing in the sense of how you wanted to attack certain situations. It looks like they're taking that and trying to put it in the third game again, which is exciting. What did you think of Deus Ex?
So there was stuff that made me mind-blowing. You were talking about with True Crime, or not True Crime, Homefront, having those emotions. There was literally like that helicopter thing or the Osprey type of thing in that one scene going into Shanghai. I literally was like, oh my God, I'm feeling like the beginning of Blade Runner here.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
and I
the
really,
aesthetic
is very Blade Runner.
It's not inspired by, it's like ripped. It's kind of a bummer, I think. It's
well,
like, let's move on.
First Deus Ex was like that too. I mean, that's the.
But either way,
even more reason.
But either way, there were definitely moments where I went, oh, you know what I mean? Like little powers that you could use that were like, oh, amazing.
Oh yeah, they showed some amazing
stuff. But I think overall, it made me want to go home and play Mass Effect 2. It doesn't seem very new, you know?
Yeah, I kind of have to wait and see with this one because it
Good
felt
strategy,
very
good
run-of-the-mill. And there were some cinematic things happening that I wasn't sure how much we would be in control over.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the power, like having invisibility, and there were like a few other things. The woman giving the demonstration was talking about augmentations, and like those are the kinds of things that aren't really in Mass Effect. So, playing a Mass Effect style game where I have those things might be fun.
I'm very excited about it. I think it looks really cool.
What I am excited about is the second thing we saw there. Dragon Siege or Dungeon Siege.
Dungeon Siege.
Dungeon
which
Siege.
is Diablo now. I mean, fully.
Yeah, but-
I mean, the first two games weren't really, but drop-in, drop-out co-op, it looks really gorgeous. And they show these moments where you kind of come up to a bluff or a cliff,
Yeah.
and it looks like a trick. What you see in the back, a lot of games use, like a blurred out sort of background that's fake.
Yeah.
And then he would kick an enemy and it would fly and land back there. So you
Yeah.
realize that was all real and all
Yeah.
happening at the same time.
Very cool.
Really cool, and it is a definite Diablo clone.
Nothing
but
wrong with that.
It could be really
Until
fun.
Diablo comes out, I'm fine with more clones for him.
Speaking of isometrics, we saw the new Lara Croft game, which actually looked pretty decent.
Super fun.
Isometric.
I mean,
Guys
super fun.
shooting.
It's
It's
like Gauntlet
is
fun.
Gauntlet.
It's
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's new Gauntlet, which is great.
Yeah.
With a little bit of Smash Brothers.
And as many shooters as there were here, I think I was very impressed when we went to Fear 3, or for Threer, as I like to call it.
Dude, out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Well,
I sit
I
down.
love the first two Fear games.
I really enjoyed
Love.
the first two Fear games, but literally sitting down, I was like, oh, you have to get paired up with a developer. And I was like, oh, why? And they were like, well, I'm playing this character and you're playing that character. And it was like,
Right.
I'm sorry?
The co-op is interesting because you don't play as the same character and you have completely different abilities. The ghost dead character that you played in the second game and Point Man team up. Point Man is the only one that can actually use guns and shoot stuff, but the other character can lift people into the
lift
sky.
people,
Max.
it's all about the power combinations.
Yeah.
Like, he has his melee thing, but then when you slow down time, when Point Man slows down time, his melee thing becomes a massive AoE.
And he can possess other characters, which is super
Awesome.
cool. So Alex, what is your game of show?
There's too many. There's too many.
You had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, and I'm glad you went to me first, so I can think of all the ones. I may say Fear 3. I mean, I know it's weird.
The most recent one you saw.
I know it's
Still
weird.
stuck in your head.
But if you think about it, it speaks to me. It's amazing.
You didn't
first
even like the
person.
second one, really.
Well, I don't like because it scares me so much. But if I've got a friend there, that's gonna be amazing. But I mean, you got
no
a
way
Kirby Epic Yarn.
Kirby Epic Yarn, which is another
Also,
game that I
another
would
game that
shock
you're not
that you
even
would
gonna
like.
play.
But
Yeah.
No, don't say that. You don't know me.
it's so good.
Kirby
It's-
Epic Yarn.
Epic
All right,
Yarn
fine.
looks
Dungeon
amazing.
Siege 3.
What is your?
Mine is Home Lost Ghost.
You can't do that.
Homefront, Lost in Shadow, Ghost Trek.
All right.
And Kirby Epic Yarn, runner-up.
No,
It's my runner-up!
You have three winners.
Three.
What's yours?
Civilization 5.
All right, that's it. No,
Ghost
that's
Trick.
it. That's a win.
Oh, what is
Kirby's
this?
Epic Yarn.
No, forget it. Let's get done with this.
E3.
All right, before we finish up, we do want to thank our sponsors. Such lovely sponsors as new to TRS, Wizards of the Coast.
New sponsor.
Big fans of Wizards of the Coast.
We are.
All
We're huge
the stuff
Magic
that they
fans.
do.
Through Wizards of the Coast.
We did meet through Wizards of the Coast. Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalker, the huge hit on all of the downloadable.
We played the crap out of it.
Played the crap out of it. Is now available on the PC. This is an amazing game. Even if you know what the best thing is? This is an amazing trainer for
Magic.
learning how to play Magic the Gathering. If
That's
you ever
kind of
see
how
people
we
playing,
learned.
yeah, if you ever see people playing Magic the Gathering and go, I have no idea what they're doing. Yeah, just come on. Magic the Gathering. Gather it, Magic.
Turn my card. Push my card.
Tap that tree. Maybe a moon. There's no moons. Anyway, so amazing gameplay stuff. You can actually play live against other players online, which is another great way. But they've got a really deep single-player campaign, so you can learn on the single player, then start going. And this game is super deep. It's got tons of collectible cards. You can build your own decks. And like I said, it is one of the best ways to actually get your feet wet in figuring out how to play Magic the Gathering. Because it's been out for years, so there's a lot of
It's
stuff
finely
there.
tuned, and it's a great game.
Love it. So check it out. Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planewalkers, out now for the PC.
I get to tell you about
Oh, I'm next.
H to the Izzo, square to the Space-O. I'm just trying to break your rule of no rapping on the show.
And you see why there's a rule now. You see why there's this rule. You just said,
Squarespace. Squarespace is the best place to make a website. Why? It's easy, it's fast. Did I mention it's easy? Because
it's also fast.
All what you see is what you get. You just drag and drop stuff, super fly, snooka. You also can, if you already have a website or blog, you can easily import with one click. They have this awesome web application that lets you just kind of import all the stuff that all the blog posts you've done, all the comments that people may have put on your blog. Super easy, super fun. They have an iPhone app that lets you update stuff on the fly, super fly, snooka. And you can get 10% off the lifetime of your order with Squarespace, which if you have a website can be a very, very long time, by using our promo code TRS when you check out. Do go there, do use our promo code. It'll save you money and you'll have an awesome service.
Do it.
We're also sponsored by Adobe.
Jiggy Wigget.
The newest release of Adobe Flash platform tools and runtimes, including Adobe Flash Player 10.1, Adobe Air 2, Adobe Creative Suite 5,
Adobe Air.
and Adobe Flash Builder 4, designers and developers can use the same code, assets, frameworks, tools, and services to create rich applications, web content, and videos that deploy in and outside the browser and across devices.
So what does that mean, Dan? Tell us what that means.
Feel free to interpret that as you will.
Actually, Adobe Air is really, really robust, and a lot of the applications I use on my PC,
Me
I
too.
actually use that are Adobe Air, and they're just
I use Twirl as my Twitter, and it uses Adobe Air.
Digby, which is my Gmail reader, which is amazing if you don't have it.
TweetDeck
Digsby,
uses
I think
Adobe
it's
Air
called.
too, I believe, right?
Yeah.
The Adobe Flash platform provides professional tools, an open source framework, and ubiquitous clients and servers, allowing you to deliver apps that run consistently across browsers, operating systems, and devices for the widest reach.
Amazing.
Interpretation?
It means you can use it on, I mean, it's basically building your application on this one thing. It can be used on many different devices really super easily.
You guys are really picking this up great. I'm glad you're learning a lot today. One more lesson. Try the tools and download the runtimes. Adobe Flash Builder 4 and Adobe Flash Catalyst CS5 offers free trials, plus you can learn Flash Builder for free with online video training. Go to adobe.com/flashplatform.
Very nice. People, we had a 5-year anniversary party coming up.
We do. We're going to be there.
We do, people. We are going to be there. Mike, however, is going to be stuck in a cave editing the show.
As he often
and
is.
we apologize. Oh, and a camp. No, he's going to the camp thing again. Which is freaking awesome. But anyway, so we will be in San Francisco at the Mezzanine, I think is what it's called.
Take the elevator to the mezzanine, chump.
Get up to the
Change and it's
mezzanine.
on, super bon, super bon.
Let's just say Mezzanine.
Delicious.
Let's just say Mezzanine in San Francisco on the 25th, Friday night, the 25th. I don't know when
if you
it
go
starts,
to like revision3.com, there's probably
/5, the number 5, year. So /5 year. And you can check out all the information there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great party.
I'm excited. Excited to meet people.
Had a blast at E3,
Yes,
and
we
it
did.
checked a big box for us, which was, oh crap, time to focus on Comic-Con 2010.
It's always how it works. It's always how it works in the summertime. You get past E3 and it's like, now Comic-Con's on the horizon.
So
then
we
Comic-Con ends and then it's like PAX.
Yeah, so it is official. We are going to be doing our panel at 7:45.
Yes.
I think. At 7:45, room 5AB on Friday night.
Which
so
is if you've gone to years past,
it's a different room.
different
I think
room.
it's in the same hall. It might be just across the hall. But it's at 7. You probably might as well. Let's just say 7:30 because
get
you're
in
gonna have
line
to get in
early
the line
and
early.
often because
Yeah, we really want you to come. We know that you cannot buy Comic-Con passes at this point, but if you already have your Comic-Con pass, we would love for you to attend. It's always a huge party, and it's always packed. We always have to turn people away.
Yeah.
So we really would love you to get there early. And
I think we're going to do things differently this year.
we're going to do things a little differently. We're going to have some surprises. I think there are going to be some other people helping us out, and I think it's going to be really, really fun.
It's gonna be really fun, and I don't know where we usually would go to sort of a big bar melee scrum thing afterwards, and I think what we're gonna do this year is just kind of calm it down, go outside, say hi to everybody, because we always feel like we don't get enough time to sort of say hi to everybody.
and there's always people who can't get into the bar, and it's always a big mess.
So we're not gonna go to a bar afterwards. We're just gonna kind of hang out afterwards and say hi to everybody and thank them for coming. But Comic-Con's gonna be big. Comic-Con's gonna be big. We're actually doing a live Dignation the night before, and then I'm moderating a Legend of Neil panel the night after. I mean, this whole thing is going to be. And then, of course, there's Comic-Con to do. I mean, it's a little bit intense. But we had a blast at E3. Hopefully you enjoyed all the coverage. What do you think was your game of the thing? We talked about this a little bit, but now that I've marinated,
Well, I
has
mean,
yours changed any?
Civilization 5, I think, is still for me the most exciting thing. I think the story of the show, though, is the 3DS.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm shocked Civ 5 is your favorite thing because it looks awesome, but it doesn't seem to be groundbreaking. Like so many other games are like groundbreaking and new, and this is more.
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot
Yeah.
of things that I want, but I think if somebody said you can have one thing and take it home right now and play it, I think that would be that.
That's a good thing. What about you? One thing you can take home now and play it.
I don't know. I have been thinking about the most Homefront.
Wow,
I've been thinking about that a lot.
Interesting.
So
I might actually say Homefront as well. Because it's true. I've been thinking
may be a
it's
terrible
the one
game,
that
too.
it could be a terrible game.
we only saw
All we saw was
vertical
sort of,
slice.
but it could be anyway.
Yeah.
So that was E3 2010. Thank you so much for watching, and also thanks for our background,
Matt.
Matt
Yes,
Hicks, and also
the intro from John Tilton.
John Tilton.
Oh yeah, and if you want to find out how to submit your own intro lyrics, there is a thread on the forums that explains exactly what we need. It's very specific. There's a certain number of syllables that you can use and a certain structure that we need. So check that out. We love getting those. They're very helpful for us, and it's really fun to be able to interpret somebody else's words and make pictures out of them.
It also would be great if you are going to go to Comic-Con to see you wearing a Totally Rad Show shirt. This is one of them. Rock this one. And come up to us, and we'll hug you.
Recognize you. Yeah, we'll hug you.
Jeff will make out with you.
Sounds like a threat.
It is a threat. All right, people, that is it for this week's E3 coverage, and also this year's E3 coverage. We will see you next time. Bye.
Jinx.com/TRS for the swag. We're rolling?
Yep.
Hold on.
What happened there?
I realized I hadn't thought about this at all. Yeah.
Intelligence, changing it to hexagonal instead of squares. Should we move?
That's totally in the background. Oh, it's good. They're moving.
That's all right.
Awesome. It's amazing. It's E3 is over. Get out, they say. You can't stay here, but you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Take the elevator to the mezzanine, chump.